Hey y'all, what's going on? It's me, Guillotine. Welcome back to another Acies Battle Runes video. Today I've got some pretty intense 2v2 for you. It turns out to be a good old-fashioned fist fight. It started out as me just trying to do some dailies and queuing with randoms. I ended up getting partnered with my clanmate Guillotine, and we ended up going up against two members of КОРОЛИ. We had Limbo and Acies. Before we jump into gameplay, I do want to take a second to talk about runes a little bit. I mentioned in my last video that I was a bit skeptical, thinking that this could be very pay to win and balanced, but as you can see here, I've already got 8 and I'm entirely free to play. I think it's going to end up being just fine. There's plenty of ways to get them without spending money, and even if you do spend money, it's never a guarantee. It only took me about 24 hours since after the update to get this many runes, and by the time you're watching this, I've nearly doubled the amount that I have. Now, it's not all roses. There are a few things that I have some problems with. These golden runes are all unit specific, and you've heard me complain about mini dragons before. I think they're just absolutely broken. They're very overpowered. And this tier 2 rune allows it the ability to heal itself. It's already one of the hardest units in the game to kill, so I don't understand why it's necessary to make them even harder to kill. Their trance ability just gives them insane escapability, and if you time it correct, you can basically get 2 free attacks without taking any damage. It needs some major adjustment. I already think that they're too hard to kill. I already think that their area of effect damage is set way too high. They're relatively cheap and they don't cost all that much supply. So if you could fix maybe 2 of those things, I think we'd have a more balanced unit. As of today, I saw that they nerfed their health from 300 down to 250, so hopefully that helps, but way too many people are using mini dragons. Way too many people are only using mini dragons because it's a guaranteed win. The other thing is ninja goblins. Not so much of a complaint with these. I do just think they're a little bit... They could use a rework. I don't think that their shadows should be able to attack. I think it should be more of a scouting mechanism. Maybe giving them some sort of like assassination ability with their shadows could be cool. Like you can do a whole bunch of damage, but then your unit teleports to where the shadow is. But reducing the cast time by 7 seconds is crazy because you can already recast it as soon as it expires. So if you're shaving that 7 seconds off, or you can have 7 seconds where you can have 2 shadows to 1 ninja, which is just utterly insane. And then just for some reference here, this is the gold rune for Voduns. It just increases range. I mean, that's cool and all, but it's not healing myself. It's not giving me 2 clones of myself that are just as hard to kill. Anyways, that being said, I'm hoping that with this new regime that we're going to see more updates and more balance. So I've made that known that that's the only things I really don't like as of yet. So let's get into some gameplay here. Me and Guillotine are on the right, we're in the red, and then off to the left, the bottom left, you've got Limbo in the light blue, and the top left, the dark blue, is my friend Acies. Like I mentioned earlier, this all started with me doing some dailies, so I'm using a deck that you might not be used to seeing me run. It's similar to some older decks that I used to run, so it was a little bit of a throwback. It was kind of fun, nostalgic even. Something I wish that someone would have told me early on when I first started playing. If you're a new player, do your dailies as much as you can. It's the fastest way to where you're going to be able to play how you want to play, especially if you're worried about runes, especially if you keep losing to players that you feel like you're better than, they just have higher level cards than you. Doing your dailies is going to give you gold, it's going to give you crystals, it's going to allow you to open chests, and it's really the fastest way to fast track you to being able to build a deck that suits your playstyle. For this replay, I decided to do something a little bit different. The game's playing at normal speed. I've just cut out some of the not so exciting times, like walking across the map and all that, but I wanted to show the fights in real time, and there's quite a lot of them, so I really hope you enjoy it. So let's get into what's happening here. You've got Limbo down at the bottom left, who is already going to make a play for his mana extractors, so you can expect him to be putting some runes into effect pretty early on. He's got 2 ice towers to defend and some spearmen. I'm stocking up on some rangers and a few iron pants, and I'm gonna go ahead and start my first expansion. Giul has also got his expansion rolling, and so does Opasnikent. I'm gonna go for like a timing iron pants drop. It's something I haven't done in a while. It's kind of a outdated meta, but I've got iron pants in the deck. I decided to give it a try. I'm a little bit rusty at it, so I send the rangers up to the front of the base, knowing they're probably gonna die, but hoping to get a peek at what unit composition he's working with, maybe look at what spells, and while all of his army is sucked up, I'm gonna come throw down 3 iron pants in his gold line and just try to kill all of his workers, and then I'm dropping the Hellgate at the same time, hoping to do a good bit of damage. But the timing, like I said, was a bit off. He's able to steal one of my iron pants right off the bat with Temptation. I do steal it back, but his army is already back at the top. That tank just came out. He hit the lightning. I think I only was able to kill 2 or 3 workers, so this is a big time waste of resources. Luckily, I've already started my expansion, so it's not going to sink the ship, but right now it's not looking too great for myself. Limbo here, taking that middle base. It's pretty important because it's the only additional base with gas apart from like your natural expansion. It's kind of the only bummer about this map, even though it is one of my favorite 2v2 maps, is that there just isn't that much gas. So it's always good to have 1, if not 2, or nowadays even 3 units in your deck that don't require any gas, or at least not very much gas. Opasnikent pushing in here. He's got the Rangers and he's got the Vikings. It's a meta that's really becoming popular. I like to run Rangers and Vikings in my elf deck. The Rangers don't require any gas. The Vikings, you get really good value for the small amount of gas that you put in there. Both units are really good versus dogs, and they also complement dogs very well. So in my elf deck that I mentioned earlier, I actually have Rangers, Vikings, and dogs. Really good early game, especially with Hellgate. But you can see some mini dragons here, and as much as the meta does change, mini dragon meta is still unfortunately king. I'm so stubborn, I just refuse to put them in my deck unless I'm doing a daily. But they're here to stay until something changes. Giul comes up to my rescue, probably the smart move here. I don't think that I could have handled the push from both Limbo and Opasnikent. Limbo, however, what I would have done is wait a second, because your teammate was doing a pretty good job, and rather than coming and trying to put the nail in the coffin and make it a 2v1, I would have waited to see what Giul was going to do, and once I saw that massive army rushing up to save me, I would have then countered Giul, and y'all probably could have got the win right there. But nonetheless, you both push me. Giul's able to come up and help me fight the 2 of you off, and now we're putting some work in on that left middle base. Giul is able to start the middle base off to the right. But despite all of that, КОРОЛИ is still ahead in the base count. They're actually going to hold right here. Opasnikent has one of the top middle, the gold only base. There's no gas there. The one at the bottom is still vacant. Back home, I'm starting to build some necromancers, mainly because it was the daily I was trying to do. But they're also one of my favorite units. I don't use them as much as I used to anymore. As you can see right here, they're just easy to steal with Temptation. You get really good value out of tempting them. And players have just gotten really good at targeting down the actual necromancer, and once the necromancer dies, all of the minions die as well. This is another unit I think that maybe they could rework just slightly. I would like to be able to control the minions and tell them where to go and what to attack. especially like walking across the map, they tend to lag behind the necromancers. So if you're walking into like some fog of war and you come up on a tank or something, your necromancer is going to take some free shots before the minions swing back around to the front. I wish that they would definitely walk in front of the necromancer at all times, because that's kind of the point, right? To be like a shield for the wizard behind them. And I just also wish that you could send them off or just target down a specific enemy. I don't know, let me know what you think. Maybe that would be a little bit too OP. You could kind of sit outside of a base and keep sending minions in. However, I think they're weak enough and the respawn rate is slow enough to where it wouldn't really be a huge issue like ninja goblins are. They do have a new gold rune which allows you to kind of detonate those minions much like a bat bomb. But I don't know if the necromancer itself does enough damage to where that would ever be a valuable trade. I don't know. I'll have to wait till I unlock it and try it out. It just doesn't seem to be the most smart thing to do. I guess unless you're trying to escape, because once those minions are aggroed onto an enemy, you can kind of run away. So I guess if in theory you have a bunch of minions, like say around a bunch of, I don't know, Vikings or whatever, the Vikings are going to eventually win the fight, you can start running away, you can detonate those minions and kind of reset a little bit, and then I guess there is good value there. So I don't know, we'll see. That I think could make some really interesting engagements. So right here we've got Guillotine. He's trying to push into Limbo's base, which Limbo's just kind of getting this one up and going because he opted to go for that middle base first. He's got it defended well though, so they kind of just trade off a little bit and decide to go their own separate ways. Meanwhile, I've finally cleared this base up to the top middle. I'm going to start building there shortly. And we're about to come up on probably the biggest fight of the match. My Wolf Riders are able to get in a few early shots, taking down a Viking. And then everything kind of gets sucked up in together. He does hit me with the Blizzard. The lightning goes off in the back. A Hellgate's coming up. And then here comes Guillotine from the south. And then you've got Limbo over to the west. So you've got all four of us getting in on the action right here. And then Guillotine smartly moves his Cryo Mages down and under, so we actually end up sandwiching the forces of Limbo and really doing some damage. I'm gonna move into this base in the middle. I feel like now's the time we can finally take it out. Guillotine kind of hangs back a little bit, watching my backside, makes sure that Limbo doesn't come up with any tanks. Kent has one lone tank off to the north that's gonna get a few free shots in. He does tempt away one of my necromancers, but it goes down quickly with that many rangers. They're able to clean up this Hellgate that comes down in here. And at this point, I feel like I've got enough forces right up here to be able to finish off that castle. So I split my army and I start moving in towards this base over here, which doesn't have much defenses up. This lone barracks is about to go down. All those workers are going to be exposed. The way this map is kind of laid out in team play is, you know, you're going to have one teammate that just doesn't have as much resources as the other, unless you can take out one of your opponents quick and make it a 2v1. Limbo going for that third base makes it hard for Kent to defend this late in the game. I'm able to take down that castle there. I pull over the army a bit, sends you a little message saying, you know, good job, that was a fun one, I think we got it. Push into this main base here. Down at the bottom you can see Limbo has surrendered, and shortly thereafter this castle's going to go down. At this point it is all but over. You can see Kent was trying to get another tower up, trying to finish an upgrade, pump out a few more units. With the new unit proficiency system, there is, I guess, kind of an added value if you know you're going to use to just go ahead and pump out a few more units, because you can get some really good rewards once you start leveling that up. But there you have it. GG. Good game, guys. Thank you, Guillotine. Thank you, Limbo. Thank you, Kent. Hopefully I am saying that correctly. anyways, I really hope you've enjoyed this intense 2v2. I've noticed a lot of new accounts lingering around. Hopefully those are lots of new players, especially since the update, so that's encouraging. To everyone that's been supporting this thing, thank you so much. Please continue to do so, liking, subscribing, sharing. Yeah, I'm gonna holler at y'all next time. Later.